All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're exploring author Xu Feng's truly mind-bending philosophical architecture on the nature of space and reality. Look, if you've ever had that nagging feeling that there just has to be more to the universe than what we can physically touch and measure, well, you're absolutely in the right place. We're going to unpack a framework that suggests our physical universe, it's really only half the story. Unlocking the other half, what the author calls the negative universe, could completely rewrite how we understand human potential, space travel, and literally consciousness itself. To get us started, I want to hit you with a fascinating question that kind of challenges our basic, everyday assumptions about the physical world. Think about it for a second. When you're dreaming, you experience complex desires, very real emotions, and you navigate these strange, vivid environments, right? But physically, you're just lying completely still on a mattress. So who exactly is the person running around in that dream? Xu Feng suggests that both are you, but they are existing in entirely different spaces. And this simple, universal experience is actually our doorway into understanding the concept of the anti-world. So, here's our roadmap for today's explainer. First, beyond the material world. Second, defining the negative space. Third, the relativity of scale. And finally, we'll wrap up with the negative universe speed. Jumping right into Section 1, Beyond the Material World, and looking at the absolute limits of modern life. The author diagnoses our current human condition by pointing out a pretty wild paradox. I mean, look at what we've built. We've created the virtual space of the internet, we've pioneered nanotech, unlocked genetic decoding and cloning, harnessed atomic energy, and we're taking stunning photos of the deep cosmos with things like the Harper telescope. You'd think all these massive leaps should have stimulated our minds to understand the anti-world and led us to a more enlightened life. But no, we're still largely completely in the dark about the negative universe. We have this false belief that only Earth is suitable for us, and we look out at these distant, inhospitable neighboring planets and just feel isolated. And that beautifully illustrates the core problem this text is trying to tackle. Our obsession with our incredible technological achievements has actually chained us harder to our material existence. The material world has made us busier, way more anxious and worried. It's reduced our actual freedom and pushed humanity toward, well, robotic features. The author basically describes us as passengers on an accelerating train with no brakes, being managed by biorobots, mechanizing everyone on board. The anti-world on the flip side represents a much better, easier, and enlightened existence that actually connects us back to our natural attributes. Which brings us to Section 2, Defining the Negative Space, essentially learning how to see the unseen. To jump off that runaway train, the author proposes we have to seriously upgrade our wisdom. And he grounds this right in our own biology. Our physical senses are actually strictly limited. Our eyes are only processing a tiny, tiny sliver of the light spectrum, just rays between 400 and 700 millimeters. Our ears only pick up frequencies between 20 and 20,000 hertz. There's a whole universe of data we just can't perceive. The text uses this gorgeous metaphor of a hurricane. Right in the absolute center of complete chaos and destruction, there's a space of perfect peace. Just because you can't see or hear something, or just because life feels chaotic around you, doesn't mean a peaceful, invisible reality isn't right there with you. So how exactly are we defining this invisible reality? The text calls it negative space. It's a completely distinct space where your consciousness, your desires, and emotions can exist totally independent of the waking physical world. And again, the dream is the ultimate proof of this. That dream space is just one of many negative spaces in the universe. Think of the non-materials as simply the contrast to the materials. Intangible life is just the opposite of tangible life. They exist at the exact same time, just occupying different spaces. Moving on to Section 3, the relativity of scale, or world within worlds. Now you might be wondering, how do these spaces actually overlap? To justify this, the author pulls from Sakyamuni's ancient spiritual philosophy. The quote goes, "In a tiny dust there are many limitless chahai, or worlds. In the world there are dusts too, and in these dusts there are also many worlds, and the process repeats." It's the concept that reality isn't just vast on a cosmic telescope level, but it is infinitely vast on a microscopic level too. It's infinite recursion. But here is where it gets absolutely wild. Immediately alongside that ancient wisdom, the text cites Albert Einstein. The author is literally blending theoretical physics with spirituality to argue that non-material space has tangible properties. Using Einstein's acknowledgement that relativity space is endowed with physical qualities, the author backs up the idea that negative space isn't just some flaky, unreliable metaphysics. It is a real, structural part of the universe. Imagine taking a camera and zooming all the way in. Compared to the whole universe, our entire Milky Way system is just a speck of dust. But scale is 100% relative. Compared to the Milky Way, Earth is a dust particle. To the Earth, a grain of sand is dust. And to a grain of sand, a single nanometer is dust. Depending on your vantage point, a leaf, a drop of water, a grain of sand, they are all massive, sprawling universes in their own right. To drive this home, the author uses some great modern analogies. Think about a tiny 1 square millimeter silicone chip. That thing can hold an entire massive library of books. Or think about your own body. It's basically a walking universe hosting 130 trillion separate lives. And here's the real paradigm shift from the text. If the time-space changes, 100 million people could live comfortably on a single grain of sand. Think about that next time you're crammed into the middle seat on a flight. Imagine a whole civilization on a grain of sand without anyone feeling crowded. Why? Because in different time spaces, life has entirely different physical conditions. We can't project our human concepts of height or weight onto beings in a different space. All right, let's bring it all together in Section 4, the negative universe speed, traveling by thought. This realization completely shatters what we think of as our physical boundaries. If life can exist on planets millions of light years away, or literally on a grain of sand on the beach, the author envisions that we can actually reach them. But not with physical rockets. We reach them by utilizing the negative universe speed. This is defined as the moving speed of antimatters, which translates in human terms to the instantaneous speed of thought or consciousness. To make this super abstract concept a bit more concrete, the text uses a really fantastic thought experiment. Picture a worker totally isolated at a research station in the freezing Antarctic, and he desperately misses his hometown. In a fraction of a second, his thinking and consciousness can immediately travel back to his home. Yes, his physical body is still trapped in the snow, but his consciousness, it just crossed thousands of miles instantaneously. The author argues this isn't just imagination at play. This is a literal demonstration of the negative universe speed in action. So when we tap into these space tunnels, how fast are we actually going? According to the framework, the author assumes a minimum speed of 1 light year per second. Yeah, per second. And he notes the actual speed of thought is likely even faster than that. This totally solves that tragedy we talked about at the beginning. We are not trapped on Earth. Our physical bodies might be bound here for now, but our consciousness, operating in that negative space, is capable of traversing the cosmos at speeds that defy logic. By embracing the existence of this anti-world and realizing that all our physical limits are just relative, Xufeng is ultimately suggesting that we can free ourselves from this nervous, robotic material life. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final provocative question to think about. Which space is your consciousness truly occupying right now? Are you just a physical body sitting there watching a screen, or is your mind currently tunneling through a vast negative universe of ideas? Thank you so much for exploring these massive, mind-bending concepts with me today. Keep challenging your boundaries, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.